What is up guys, I'm NightFox and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be bringing you a video on a presentation method that I use to display the logo designs that I create. Now I've had a lot of messages via Twitter and stuff like that and other social media sources that have asked me how I kind of display my logos and how I get this kind of grainy sort of effect with the tilt shift blurs and stuff like that, and just a kind of tutorial on how I actually achieve this look to it. So it's pretty easy, it's nothing too hard. So what I normally do is I tend to start it off with a 720 kind of layout for a screen layout, as in obviously like a TV screen. When you come into Photoshop, it normally comes under kind of film and video, but I've already got it saved in here. You can see here the HDTV 720p, that's the settings, and the like kind of width and height that I use. 72 resolution is what I always use. Obviously if you're doing it for print, it's obviously different. You want to use 300 dpi. If you guys don't know much about like kind of pixels per inch and stuff like that, you want to be using 72 for anything kind of digital that you'd see on a screen, or 300 for anything that's going to be printed, just because it's better quality for printing and stuff like that. Right, so what I normally do, what I'm going to do is use a slightly different logo today. I'm going to use one of my pre-mades, because this is still for sale if any of you are kind of curious on it. But this darkness emblem mascot is what I'm going to be using. So what the first thing I'll do is always drag the actually I'll tell you what we use. Yeah, that's the one, emblem version. Just drag that straight into Photoshop, and then just give it a that and just minimize it like this. Oh, don't want to skew it like that, so make sure you hold shift when you do this so you get the make sure it doesn't kind of skew itself, and just kind of centralize it like that. Now what I then do is then create another layer and select, using the U key, which is a shortcut for the rectangle tool, just draw a background over the entire screen like that. And now what you want to do is come up to the color option here, and what I tend to do is, if you rasterize this and then go to blending options, this is the easier way to make sure the colors are accurate. So then you come to your color overlay, and once you select this, you want to use the when you select the color, it will come up with the color picker, and you just want to click on the main color of the logo. That's what I always go with. I always tend to go with the main body color as the background, because I feel it kind of contrasts well with what's going on with the logo. So we're just going to get rid of that. So what I then do, because I just want that as a flat color, I then convert it to smart object and then rasterize it again, just because I want it as a base layer. Now you can do it easier way by kind of just bringing up the color like that and then color tooling like that, and then that way when you create a new rectangle it will already be that color. But you know, I just end up normally doing it that way. And then once you want to do that, you want to create a new layer. And now what I tend to do with this is definitely use this method and take the original color that you got, but then use it as dark or as close to like black as you can get without actually being black. You don't want it to be black, because you want it to all the kind of colors to kind of mix together and work well together. Now what you want to do with that is create another rectangle over the top, the whole screen again. And then what we're going to do with this is zoom out a little bit. Now to zoom out quickly, if you've got a scroll wheel on your mouse, which most people have, obviously use the Alt key and just scroll out, and it will allow you to zoom in and out easier. So once you've got that, you want to rasterize the layer, and then you want to select the erase tool. So we take that. Now I've got this about 2165, that's kind of the size I use, and you want to kind of delete this sort of area, and I would say probably just below the kind of 3/4 of the way down the logo is kind of a good area to go for, something like that. So yeah, that's the kind of area we're going to go for, and what you want to do is just sort of delete that area there. Now you can do it twice just to kind of emphasize that kind of area. And just for a note as well, if you guys want to zoom in like I just did there, these are just kind of shortcut tips and stuff like that. You hold control and press 0, and it will like kind of bring the whole screen to fit the screen, kind of that kind of method. Now what I do with this is then duplicate that layer. Now the bottom layer you want to set to overlay, and then the top layer you can kind of adjust how you want it, but sometimes I go with 50, but I think at the moment it's quite a good kind of depth, so I think I may actually keep that there. Let me just see what happens if I duplicate this layer. It's not something I do sometimes. You can duplicate and make it darker if you want. I tend not to. So then once that's your dark layer around the bottom of the screen you've got. And now what you want to do to get the light effect at the top is create a new layer and then go to the brush tool, the paintbrush tool, and you want to bring up this color palette again, select. Now I normally use highlights or just use the original color like that and get it kind of near to white, but still kind of keep that little tinge of the main color that's being used in the logo like that. Now once you've got your paintbrush tool, you want to do the same kind of thing. However, obviously you want to make it a little bit smaller, so you want it like just above the top quarter of the or the top third of the logo, like that, roughly around about that area should be good. So you get that sort of effect like that. Let me just zoom back in, and then what you want to do is duplicate that layer again and set the bottom layer, the overlay. And then the top layer I normally reduce to about 75. That's kind of the area I usually go for. Once you've done that, you want to come down to this. What you want to do is select all the layers. So you select the bottom one and select up to the highlighted layer, and then you want to hit Control J. That will copy every single layer there. And then what you want to do is select. So these are just basically kind of backups. I always keep these as backups. You want to hide all them though, and then come back to the original rectangle layer like that. And what I do is put a filter on it and an add noise. It's just a simple add noise filter. I set it at amount 10% uniform. You can use Gaussian if you want. I tend to use uniform though, or you can use monochromatic if you prefer, but again I don't tend to prefer it. But that's the settings I have for the add noise effect. So I literally just add that, and then once I've added that, select all the layers again and then press Control E on your keyboard. That will merge all of them into one kind of image. Now as you can see, there's kind of ray lines going around here where the light effect has come in. Now what I tend to do is just put a small little kind of blur on it, just to kind of slightly eliminate that. Now I could actually take that down a bit further. It just kind of eradicates it a little bit, just to kind of, you know, see how it looks when it's like you can see the ray lines have slightly disappeared. I mean, you can still see they're there, but yes, it's made it a little bit more flush. So once I've done that, I then go up to the darkness emblem. I always duplicate this. Obviously this would be whatever logo you're using. Minimize the top one for a minute and rasterize the original one. Once you've done that, you then want to come on to filter and go to your blur gallery, and you've got this tilt shift here. Now there's several different types of blurs. I just find tilt shift is the one that I prefer to use. You end up coming up with some lines like this, which show you kind of your start of blur and your finish of blur. Like this allows you to kind of stretch out how much blur is like kind of put on. So what I normally then do is I like to put my blurs at a 45-degree angle. So holding shift, I then twist it at a 45-degree angle, and that's kind of good. Yeah, I think that's enough blur. Maybe drag these a little bit, but that's the kind of effect I like to go for, so I'm going to go with that. I don't really change any of the settings that are on the side there. There's not really any need to. And then once I've done that, is bring the other darkness emblem below it, rasterize it, Control T to then rescale it, and then what I tend to do is just maximize it into the background sort of thing. So if we centralize it roughly around about there, maybe make it a little bit bigger, and we'll get that in about there. And then what I'll do is hit enter, and then just set the opacity to around about 10 is what I usually use. Now you can actually use overlay on this. Sometimes it blends it a little bit in more with the background and kind of absorbs the frontal colours. With this, I think I kind of want to keep them reds in the eyes though, because if you see when I put overlay on, the reds and the kind of the teeth colouring kind of disappears because it blends into that colour, the forefront. So I want to keep it with normal on this one, and then all I do from there is literally then take my own logo, obviously as a watermark. So we get the white one, because you always want it kind of contrasting with the background. So for this one, white is kind of definitely the way to go. I mean, obviously with some other colours like oranges and stuff like that, you could use a black one or anything like that, but this is the one I tend to use. So I'm going to put it about that big, just place it in and whack it down. Now the good thing about using the kind of the screen setup, it gives you these rulers which kind of show you a kind of a bleed around the edge, which kind of allows you to know where to work in between, so that if you're putting this in a video, for instance, or anything like that, you know what's definitely going to be captured and what could be captured, what could be missed out, stuff like that. So it just gives you kind of good proportions on what to use. So I tend to kind of barrier that down in the bottom there, so that I know it's nice and fit like that. And then from there, I'll literally save it as, always keep it obviously as your Photoshop file. So darkness emblem, and we're going to save that into back into my pre-mades, and then we're just going to save it like that. Now it'll ask you to create a PDF version, which I always do anyway. It just tends to come with it. I don't know if this is something on the old Photoshop, so obviously I'm using CC at the moment. So that's saved now. Actually that's the Illustrator I was talking about, sorry, not Photoshop, ignore that. And then after that, I always save these as PNGs, just because I find that the images are slightly better. I mean, you can save it as a JPEG, but I just kind of prefer to keep it as a PNG. It just works well for me. So I'm gonna save that into my darkness folder like that. As you can see, there was an old display in there, but I slightly changed the way I was presenting stuff. So yeah, that's how to kind of create my look for displays. So I hope this has been useful. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope it's helped out all those people that did ask for this. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Speak to you soon.